Good morning, friends. It's Mrs. Dalia here. Today, we're going to take a deeper look at castles. We're going to be reading a story about a sandcastle, and then we're going to be going on to Encyclopedia Britannica, and we're going to be looking at some real castles and seeing kind of what's the same about sandcastles and real castles and what's different. I hope you enjoy. The Sandcastle That Lola Built by Megan Maynor and illustrated by Katie Baroob. This is the sandcastle that Lola built. This is the tall, tall tower of the sandcastle that Lola built. This is the sea glass that signals mermaids from the tall, tall tower of the sandcastle that Lola built. This is the foot. Hey, you stepped on my sandcastle! Oh, said the dude with the frisbee. Oops. You can use this bucket to fix it, said Lola. Okay. What should we add next? Asked Lola. We? This is the wall that protects the castle, that holds the sea glass, that signals mermaids, from the tall, tall tower of the sandcastle that Lola and Frisbee Dude built. This is the bulldozer. Bzz, beep, beep. Stop, said Lola. You can't dig there. Dig, said the little guy. You can dig here instead and help with our sandcastle. Dig? Asked the little guy. More? Yes, said Lola. More. This is the bulldozer that dug the moat, that surrounds the wall, that protects the castle, that holds the sea glass, that signals mermaids from the tall, tall tower of the sandcastle that Lola and Frisbee Dude and Little Guy built. These are the shells. Splash! Oh no, said Lola. Here, you can have some of mine, said the girl. You found all these? Asked Lola. The girl nodded. I'm bringing them home to Minnesota so I can remember the ocean. Do you want to add shells to our sandcastle? You bet! These are the shells that lead to the moat, that surrounds the wall, that protects the castle, that holds the sea glass, that signals mermaids from the tall, tall tower of the sandcastle that Lola and Frisbee Dude and Little Guy and Minnesota Girl built. This is the... No way, said Frisbee Dude. Uh-oh, said Little Guy. That's not good, said Minnesota Girl. Lola sniffed. The mermaids didn't even get to move in yet. She packed up her pails. Are we making another sandcastle? Asked Frisbee Dude. For mermaids? Asked Minnesota Girl. Again? Asked Little Guy. We? Asked Lola. I'll build the wall. Dig, dig. I'll find more shells. I could build a tall, tall tower, said Lola. You guys enjoyed that story. I love it because I love how the friends came together to recreate and rebuild the sandcastle after it was destroyed. True, a couple friends in that story actually did the destroying, but I like that after they saw that they destroyed it, they helped to build it back up again. So I hope you liked it. Now, let's take a look at castles. Now we're going to take a deeper look at castles. Look at this page. There's 2 real castles and there's 2 sandcastles. What makes them the same? What makes them different? Do they look the same or do they look different? Think about these pictures as we go into Encyclopedia Britannica and learn a little bit more about castles. All right, so here we are on Encyclopedia Britannica, which you can get to from home if you go to the school library website. Under research, it tells you how to get here and our login information. And right now we're looking at castles. So let's listen to the introduction about castles.
For many centuries, castles provided both protection and living quarters for kings, nobility, and sometimes common people. The fortifications, or military defenses, built into a castle set it apart from a palace. A palace is usually a grand house for a king or noble. Most castles were built in Europe between the 800s and the 1400s, during the period known as the Middle Ages. But castles were built in North Africa, Western Asia, India, and Japan as well.
Okay, so castles were kind of all over the place. So they provided protection and living quarters for people, which is interesting that I didn't know that the castle is actually different than a palace, because a palace is usually like a grand house for a king or a noble. So that's interesting. There's different types of castles. We're not going to listen to all of this, but there's the Motte and Bailey castles. Then there's some later information about later castles. But let's listen quickly to the decline of castles. Decline. What do we think decline means? When you were going at an incline, that means we're going up a hill. So if it's a decline, we're going down the hill. So this is probably where we're going to learn about how castles kind of went away. Let's hear what she has to say.
Castles lost their usefulness in the late Middle Ages. Large firearms developed at that time could hurl cannonballs over or through a castle's walls. Beginning in about 1500, forts replaced castles as military defenses, and rulers lived in palaces or mansions. Some castles still stand today and are popular tourist attractions.
Have you ever been on vacation and you've seen castles? I know they're pretty popular, like in Europe. I know in Ireland, there's castles all over their place, and there's castles that you can go visit, like the Blarney Castle, where you can kiss the Blarney Stone. They have you lean upside down and kind of backwards, and you have to go and kiss the stone, and you can see the grounds through the opening. It's kind of crazy. Let's click on this picture to make it a little bit bigger. So this is a castle. It's a typical stone castle from the Middle Ages, and it had a moat, a keep, and a number of separate areas and buildings within its towered walls. So we got a chapel over here. That's the inner bailey. We got the kitchen house over here. This is the storehouse. We have the moat around, nice to make sure that nobody can come in. A list or a ward over here. We have the gate, the postern gate. The keep over on this side. We have stables. What animals do you think we keep in the stables? The horses, yep. We have the outer bailey, the portcullis, and the drawbridge. Now, the drawbridge is interesting because the drawbridge keeps everybody out. Only the people on the inside can open up the drawbridge to let people in and out of the area. Okay, let's go to the next picture. There's three main types of castles. They're the Motte, the Bailey Castle, the Stone Castle and Keep, and the concentric castle. So these are the different kinds, the Motte and the Bailey right here. This looks like a little more, it's a wooden fort, the moat. It looks a little more simple than the other castles. This is the Stone Keep, which is a little more detailed. And then over here is the concentric, which looks very detailed. So how are these castles different than sandcastles? Obviously, we can't build a castle, but we could go to the beach and build an actual sandcastle. You guys enjoyed learning about castles, both real castles and sandcastles. I hope you guys go on over to Miss Antunes' video because she's going to show you guys how to draw castles, both real and sandcastles. I hope that this summer you guys are able to enjoy the outdoors and get to some beaches and make some sandcastles of your own. We'd love to see what you come up with. Thanks, guys.